o'clock in the morning, which means I just got up and I realized, oh my God, I missed the whole day, and I need to go talk. I got to go talk to Toth Monra. So it'll clear up in a few minutes after I get woke up and all that cool stuff. And I can't imagine what happened. Something about dragon's milk. But anyway, um, we are here once again, and the man himself is on chat with us, Toth Monra. Uh, as always, I appreciate it. I appreciate the chance to come in and talk with you. And I do hope we get some other people as we go along. But
I
I know
left
you.
the floor open for people to join that want to share. I talked to a couple of pug war band leaders and told them you're more than welcome to come on and talk. And you just gotta let me know. I had a couple of veteran leaders that said, yeah, they'll be here, and then they turned around and backed out saying, well, I won't be there if this person's there. And I put my foot down and said, I'm not dealing with this. Either you want to be there and share your viewpoints or you don't. I'm not playing favorites. I'm
Yeah,
not.
and I.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say I don't. I don't quite understand that. Um, the hesitation. That's the good word for me to use. The hesitation to come in and and just talk about the game. And I'm not sure whether it's the format rules are. I don't know. It just makes no sense to me that people don't want to come in and talk about the game that we at one level or another we all care about. Uh, that aside, you are still, of course, carrying the flag for Warhammer, and trying to get you know, the beacon been lit, so to speak. And you're out there all the time, and you have been for a while. You have been for a while out there, sort of leading the charge on trying to make this a better place for all concerned. So, with that in mind, the first topic of the day is warband leading, correct?
Yeah, in short, the biggest question I've heard from the community is it has been a big legitimate concern as people are like the lack of warband leaders, lack of warbands foremen, like your NA times and even your off EU times. Like, we need more leaders out there, which is true. Having more leaders out there, have more warband warbands going. Like right now, you only have certain groups that form at certain times, and that's the only time you see any real action. So here's the question that's been asked: what what are some ways to encourage newer warband leaders, or just to encourage people to want to warband lead? What would be some ways to go about it?
Uh, I mean, like I said when I sent you the message, I do have some thoughts about this, and uh, which will take a couple of minutes. I suppose 3 or 4 minutes for me to articulate, and out of respect for the formats that you that you said here, I promise I will not call any names. I will not get negative about it. But I just want to talk about a few aspects of warband leading that I've encountered in my time here. And like I say, for anybody listening, I'm not going to be controversial about it, but I think when it comes to trying to motivate someone to lead a warband in this game, there are, of course, a number of different factors that go into that. And I've done it. It's been a while since I've done it because uh, I get tired of hurting cats uh, fairly quickly. And in order to truly be effective, there are some things I believe that all good warband leaders insist on, and rightfully so, right? One is Discord. One is a means to talk to each other in real time. And there are some players out there who, uh, for whatever reason, that may be more difficult to them than someone else, and or they can get into a Discord but they can't talk because for whatever reason may not be. But that is that is an enforcement that I think is necessary, that is insisted on by all the good warband leaders currently in the game. The second, of course, is a willingness to follow direction. Now that's a even bigger stumbling block, right? The willingness to follow direction that goes with being in a warband and staying with a warband. And I think on the part of some players that we have in the game right now, it's a lot of the basics that the older guys like us, Toth, you and me, and a lot of the players that have been around for a while, just a lot of the minor habits that we take for granted that nobody has to tell us, that stuff. Not everybody is aware of those. And so there is some instruction to go along. If someone's going to lead a warband, they need to take a couple minutes, I think, to sort of make that point before they get started. And as an example, a few years back, I was in a guild called Vloss. Now, they're not active anymore. They're one of the guilds that had just sort of dried up and vanished over time. But they were, excuse me, those guys were, without a doubt, one of the best groups of people I've ever run with when it came to just following what the warband leader said, not getting into a fight, prosecuting what they're supposed to do as their character, and then just picking up and moving on. And all the times I was in a warband with Floss Feldrin and the guys who ran it, I never once heard an argument. Okay. Not once did people start, name calling or fighting back and forth or saying the kind of stuff that you often hear in some warbands. If somebody makes a mistake, you would think this matters, right? Beyond the fact that it's a game. That type of environment is hard to come by, but that is the most productive environment that there is to play a video game. And as you can see, I'm controlling myself. But if you want to have a warband environment that people play a video game, one of two things has to be true. Everybody has to be kind of chill and cool and realize what it is they're actually doing, or everybody has to be hardcore so that the hardcore nature of the warband doesn't offend anyone else, right? That's sort of the dichotomy that we're up against now. On the current landscape out there, I promise not to call names, so I won't, but I was recently in a warband with some guys who've been around for a while in an established guild that still runs warbands right now. And it was so effectively peaceful in there, is a good way to put it. It was a throwback to me. It was a throwback to those times when you could just enjoy the game. Being in that warband, and if you'll let me, I'll mention their name since I'm talking good about them, but it was just so much fun. It was fun. We had a blast, and nobody yelled at each other. Nobody called names. And everybody did what they were told, and it was just amazing. Whereas just 2 nights prior to that, I was in a war band where again, you would have thought you were on the floor of Congress or something with, uh, or at a wrestling match, or in a dive bar in New Orleans. I mean, the difference is just astounding. And I think, regardless of what it is you're trying to accomplish, if you want to keep an effective war band and do it over time, again and again and again, you have to take all that into consideration. You have to. You have to take into consideration to how the people that you want in your war band are going to react to you. And because, as can be seen with yet a third guild that I've been part of lately, if your entire style of running a war band is negativity, eventually you're going to run out of players. People are going to stop coming, and that is happening right now as well. Now, I did all that without mentioning any names, but as far as incentive, I understand Utah. I understand what you're saying. You would like to be able to sort of push people in the direction of running war bands with some sort of reward.
Not me.
Yeah.
That's Kaz is the one that brought that up. I don't agree with if you give an incentive for forming a war band, people would only form war bands just to get the reward. They still wouldn't try to lead.
Hi, I missed some of the chat. Fixer's been in here, says maybe, but there are no effect in the game. Small scale groups, different tags. Okay, well, the Fixer makes a comment about if you are a snowflake, go play out in the snow and leave the game alone. I think that's conditional. I want to talk about that for a moment because, again, when I went through my little description there of how I see the current state of war bands being run, the dichotomy between those two, right, is that if you're a hardcore player and you want to be in a hardcore war band, fine. I mean, if that's, if all the yelling and the name calling and the belittling and the insulting and the foul language, if that's your thing, man, if all of you are in there, if that's your thing, fine. But if it isn't, if you'd rather be in a war band where people can actually talk to each other without all that noise, I think both realms have to exist. Both realms have to exist. And warband leaders, people who are going to routinely run warbands, need to take that into account. If you're the type of warband leader and you got players around you that don't mind all that noise, fine. Knock yourself out. But if you're trying to keep a guild together, if you're trying to build up some sort of player base that will routinely come in the game and come into a war band, you can't force that on them. Again, I'm not mentioning names, but there's a guild. I wish I could, but but there's a guild right now that's been established for a long time that has all but dried up over the last 2 months because people just got fed up with being called, every time something went wrong, being called a bunch of this and a bunch of that and a bunch of the other thing. And I don't blame them.
I get it, and I understand what Kaz is getting at with. I mean, in one hand, I could understand an incentive. Maybe I'm not saying I don't know. Honestly, in my heart of hearts, it would probably most likely be a bad idea because, again, with the way the current player base is, you would have people that would form a war band and not actually do anything. They would just do it to get the reward. So you would have to put in something to force them to meet certain criteria. to get said reward, not just a hand me out. Honestly, there should be an incentive for leading. You either want to lead or you don't. But if you form a war band, what I don't get is these people that form war bands and do nothing. They're quick to say, "Well, I'm not leading. I'm not doing anything." Then why did you form a war band? There's no point. And or the people that have the mindset, well, it's just a pug. Pugs are useless. That is complete BS. I've led pugs plenty of times against pre-mades and won. People, I've seen people in Tosh's chat and others that swear up and down pugs can't do anything. I'm sorry, but not true. Not even in the slightest. Yes, it depends on the individual pug. If you have people that listen, and this goes back to people listening, then yes, if they can work together and know their stuff, yes, they're going to do good against even a pre-made that's firing on all cylinders. If you get a pug that's not listening and just out there wildly wandering around, yes, they're going to fail. I've seen even pre-mades fall apart because their ego gets in the way of their common sense. Case in point, and I will use this as an example. My current guild. Some weeks ago, we were in Prague, and we had the fight won, had the keep took, and the warband leader decided that it was more important to go chase kills before the fight was over. So we left the keep and promptly got wiped out, which essentially left the rest of the order vulnerable, and there wasn't enough in the keep to counter the Destro counter attack. So they deemed chasing kills was more important than winning the overall fight. And I lit into the warband leader. I said my piece. I'm like, we just threw that fight is what we did. I said there was no reason for us to leave that keep. We knew that there was an counter attack coming. We knew Destro was coming, and you wanted to go chase kills, and we got exactly what we deserved. We got wiped.
Well, let me, if I may, Fixer put something in. I'm trying to go back to the page here and bring it up because Fixer, again, made a good point.
Fixer, if you would like to join us in Discord, dude, you're more than welcome.
Here it is. All right, here it is. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but anyway, Fixer says, if you lead a warband, you should know three things. You win because the warband was good. You lose because if you lose, it warband leader's fault. 3, anything goes wrong, warband leader's fault. So be prepared to be blamed for everything. Okay. That everything Fixer says there in that comment. Okay, you win because the warband was good. You lose because the warband leader's fault, and everything goes wrong. The warband leader has to take the blame. Every bit of that is true. Every bit of that is true. And I agree. If you're going to lead a warband, you should go into it ahead of time knowing that whatever happens ultimately is your fault because you made the decision. Now that goes beyond just playing a video game. I'm not going to wax poetic on all this, but it's just simply true. If you step up into any position, which the description of that position includes the word leader, then you have to embrace those three principles. 1, if you win, it wasn't all just you. If you win, it wasn't because you're great or you're the best warband leader or any of that other happy horse shit. You win. Oh, sorry. I apologize anyway, but you win because of the team, right? Because the team did what the team was supposed to do. If you lose, who's in charge? If you lose, who's in charge? And the leader's in charge, and the leader has to take the responsibility. Okay, now that's part of the deal, man. You want to, even in a game like this, where you have people all connected, trying to accomplish a goal, you have to take those three things into account if you are the warband leader. So Fixer makes a good point. Uh, Now, sometimes, though, as Toth, what you were talking about, you could have the best decision-making process that there's possible to have. You can make the best decisions, and you can still lose. Now, why is that? Because this is a game, and things don't always go your way. And the object of that, of course, is just to have fun. All right. NS Kaneda. That's good to see you, buddy. Warbands live, fight, and die together. Yes, leader has responsibility for tactical decisions on the battlefield, but it's the warband role to execute them. It won't all work out 100% of the time. That's okay, see? Thank you for backing me up. I appreciate it. Otherwise, it's just people running in the same direction. That's a good way to put it, man. That's a good way to put it. It's just people running in the same direction. I have seen that. I have seen that before too. I hope Fixer didn't leave because I wasn't trying to argue with him. I was just using his comments as a springboard.
And again, guys, anybody in chat, if you would like to come into the live call and share your thoughts on warband leading, or if you're up and coming leader, there is a standing invite. You simply use the ! Discord command and go from there, and I'll pull you in. But please understand, if you come in with the intention of causing problems, I will eject you from the call. So I want people to come in and talk, but be civil. No worries, Fixer. Always appreciate you coming in and chatting. But yeah, I agree. And when I led my war bands, that's how I led. I always stressed people. I had people say, "Oh, Lord Kern led us to victory." No, all I did was make a suggestion. The truth of it is without the other 23 people in that war band working together, we wouldn't have done anything. So it's all of us working together to achieve a victory. And yeah, as leader, you take the good with the bad. You make a decision and stand by it. One of the things I see that cripples order so badly is you've got people get in a warband and they get argumentative with the warband leader. As soon as they see something they don't like, or they don't want to listen, or they think they know better. Okay, here's the thing. If you get in a warband, that means that you're looking to get in on group play. So you should understand and be adult enough to set aside your whatever it is, your personal thoughts, and listen to what that warband leader is saying to do. In other words, fall in line and obey orders. Sure, if they do something doesn't make sense, yes, question it, but be constructive. This bit of the arguing and belittling doesn't accomplish anything.
Well, that's where I disagree, because it does accomplish something. It accomplishes the eventual destruction of not only the warband, but the sub-organization that you're taking the members from. And again, as I've said before, when it comes to Return of Reckoning, I've been here since 2016. I've seen a lot of warbands and guilds come and go. I should say guilds. I've seen a lot of guilds come and go. I've been in a lot of discords. I've heard how people do things. And there's just one underlying truth, is that a guild tends to reflect, any guild is like this. Any guild is like this. A guild tends to reflect the personality of the guy who's in charge and the people who are willing to be associated with him. Back to Fixer's point, if you have a guild that runs warbands and the guild leader is truly hardcore and the players around him want it that way, then that guild's going to thrive. Okay, that guild will thrive and they'll have good warbands and they'll have success. If you have a guild where the warband leader is all hardcore all the time and the people that have come into it are like, geez, man, back off. This is only a game. They're not going to thrive. They're going to dissolve. They're going to fracture and fall apart. And I've seen it. I've seen it many, many times over the years. And there's there's just a certain there's a certain level of I'm stumbling on this one particular word, investment that a warband or a guild leader has to make in preserving his guild to make it something that people want to be a part of, not something they feel like they have to be a part of, because that's the cruel little secret of all of this, is that nobody has to do it. Okay, nobody has to do any of this. And when you forget that, you suck all the life and fun right out of it. So I am a promoter, just like you, Toth. I am a promoter of people remembering that this is first and foremost a video game. It's an MMO video game. And first and foremost, people should have fun and be allowed to have fun in playing it. I wish we had a third person to bounce off, but and ask a few questions. But
well, this will probably be a discussion that will go into other podcasts for quite some time, because I had a number of people have talked through DMs, but it is the whole thing of it is that we need more warband leaders in both NA and EU, not just during the prime time, but also during the off hours, to help create, bring more to the table. I know, example, Mr. Mojo from Retribution, he's doing stuff over on Destro, same way he does on Order, to try to help even things out. We need more people willing to help create a positive, fun environment. You've got, as you guys have said, we've got hardcore and we've got non-hardcore. You can have both aspects in this game. It's just people need to be willing to understand. If you get in a hardcore guild, either you have to conform to how they do things, or go find you a guild that works with what you're looking for. You can't get in a guild and say, wah, this isn't what I want. They're not going to change for one person. That's not realistic. There's nothing wrong with being casual in this game. You just have to understand that your play method will always have a consequence, whether you're hardcore or not. doesn't matter. There's always going to be pros and cons to it. And I would like to see both sides get away from this self-destructive mindset, and I've seen Destro do it, especially, and Order too, of where it's like unless they have everything their way, they basically get destructive. Where like, why I'm not getting my way, so I'm just gonna wreck things for everyone. I've seen both sides do it.
That would never happen here on Return to Reckoning. Somebody come in and try to wreck something for someone else. Come on, that would never happen here.
I'm gonna put this into straight terms. The other day, I was watching in Destro chat. Gruff and some other Zorbacks were calling for war bands. Okay, nothing new there. They were calling to go fight in a zone to defend it, and then I happened to step into Tosh's stream. Gruffrip bails on the zone that they had just helped push, and I have to agree. What's the point of pushing a zone just to throw the fort and make it basically where all your effort that you just spent to get to that point amount to nothing? That demoralizes everyone, your own faction included. And I've seen people on Destro that make the comment, well, don't defend anything. Don't give Order anything. Make them sit there and suffer. Make them. They all the time want to sit in their keeps. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I've seen Destro sit in their keeps during NA times. I watched it a couple of nights back. I happened to be going through the zones, and I sit and watched a Destro warband hold up in their keep and not move. And type it out that they were going to do the same thing Order does. Sit and wait for a siege. And Order pulled the stunt on them where they did a fake siege and Destro got mad and logged. That's the same thing that happens on Order. Again, and what I'm getting at, guys, is the player-based mentality is being self-destructive. You guys in the community have got to change your mindset on that.
Let me try to take a moment and approach this perhaps from another angle. Based on some of the comments you were just making, Todd. And let me ask the question here. Okay, what is it that makes this game great? Right? What is it about this game that makes us want to keep playing it after all these years? And what is the essence of it? What is the essence of it that makes the game great? Well, one answer to that is that it's one MMO game, the one MMO game that I've ever found that allows you to implement strategy and tactics, that allows you to attempt to outthink or outmaneuver an opponent. And that goes from the one level, or whether you're fighting at the multiple warband level. There's always that element in it, and that's when this game is at its greatest, is when you have a group out there doing things with the express purpose of trying to anticipate what your enemy is going to do, or manipulate your enemy into doing something, or manipulating the terrain and the other factors that are involved to get the fight that you're looking for. Those are the elements that make the game worth playing. And I mean, certainly for me, and I think I'm not trying to be conceited, I don't mean it that way, but I think if you pushed the vast majority of the people who are still playing that they would sort of agree with that in one form or the other. That what makes it good is getting a group together, or it's a 6-man, a 12-man, a war band, and going out and just outdoing your opponent. Right? That's what makes the game great. So how does that tie into warband leading? Warband leading becomes a necessity. It's a necessity in the game. And if you want to find that magic, right, that magic in the game where you can go out and do that, you have to take into account why people are even here. And it's just counterintuitive to me. It's always been counterintuitive to me. I've always seen it as sort of destructive as well, to attempt to play a game that has the potential that this one always has, that this one does and always has had the potential for, when it comes to actually playing a game, the potential for the type of enjoyment that you can get out of your game playing time, and turn all of that into an argument with your ex-wife. I mean, why that? And that's the best analogy. I think that is a good analogy. I think that's the best analogy I can come up with. Anybody out there listening to my voice who's ever been married and divorced, okay, what do you want when you come and play and log on to Warhammer Online? You want to have some fun playing a game, or you want to fight with your ex-wife? Which is it? Which are you really looking for? Okay, I know the answer to that, and I think all rational people do. And but you can't. The problem we're up here against, Toth, is you can't force people to behave in that manner, but you can sort of help motivate them to do so simply by being educational. And that's part of what you're doing, right? That's part of what you're doing, is attempting to get a format out there to teach people that there are basics to playing the game. Warband leading is one of them, and there are just some positive aspects that go along with that. So there. Once again, I wish we had somebody else here to follow up, but you just made me think of all that when you were talking a moment ago.
Cause brings up a point or question. Do you think the lack of PvE warbands serves as a hindrance to learning curve of PvP warbands? One of the things I've touched on while I do my quest guides and that I do PvE and other stuff, I think that PvE warband such as Chapter 22 and Dungeons and PQs even promote people working together. I don't care. I don't the whole PvE is toxic. I don't not get into that. But as a training tool to help people learn their class more and learn to work together, yes, I think it's a benefit, and I encourage people to do it because it will only help you in PvP. Take both aspects and put them together to form a stronger system. As some people have so quaintly put it, why only play one side and when you can play both and have a better understanding? That's true. The old adage, know your enemy as you would know yourself. If you play all the classes, you tend to understand them so you know how to counter them. Same thing with doing PvP, and everything from all the way from solo play to 6-man to 12-man, all the way up to warband. The working together in groups will only add to your skill and help the cohesion of what you're doing. It's not going to hurt it. So this mindset of wanting to be anti any large-scale fighting or anti-groups, you got some people that are. why are you playing an MMO? Guys, this game is designed around working to get together. Yes, you can solo. I'm not saying you can't. But for the love of all that's holy, I do not understand why it's gotten to the mindset of almost outright hatred of one aspect because you deem it useless. It's not useless. Doing the Chapter 22 open world raids, I've seen those fights help train warbands to speed up their reaction times and their coordination. And it translates to them performing better in PvP. How can that be a bad thing? How can anything that helps you increase your coordination be a bad thing? That's if anything, it should be encouraged. One of the questions I want to bring up that was DM'd to me, to lead warbands for a long time means that you let's see, hold on, let me read this. It's basically, how do you feel about small groups and their interaction, like 6 bands, 12 bands, and solos, and their interaction with the larger warbands in the overall gameplay? How I see it is when it comes to overall gameplay, 6 mans are immensely useful. Say I'm fighting and leading a warband in KV. If I'm pinned down at the keep, and say there's a 6 man that can roam, they're excellent for hit and run. Gank team, even though I don't like gank teams, they're still useful. 6 mans can also back cap, which can cause immense havoc for your opponent because it messes up their forward momentum on what they're trying to do. A solo player can be your eyes and ears and be just as useful as a large scale group, if not more so, because they can move around largely unnoticed, whereas a party or 12 man is gonna get noticed. You can, a 12 man, same thing, could be used as your vanguard or could be used as a bait team. Say you have how you want to pull your enemy to a predesignated area. Use the 12 man, lock them basically as bait. But those people need to understand for a few minutes they're going to be, the underdog, but have your main force waiting in the wind. So as soon as the smaller 12 man gets hit, the large scale comes in. Use those tactics. I've seen guilds do this, and it leads to some really good fights. And keep the fights moving. There's so many aspects that could be implemented in this game other than just the limited things that people are doing now. It's like people are doing just certain little things, and they won't deviate from it. They don't want to try anything.
I get your point about the deviation. I don't know that I disagree a little bit that it's people don't want to move out. I just think there's a percentage of the player base that has come in over the last, I don't know, year maybe, that just isn't aware of the sort of standard practices that, again, long-term players take for granted. And again, I think there's and it's not malicious. I don't think it's malicious on the part of anyone in this particular case. I just don't think that there's anybody stepping up anymore to sort of educate or, like, last podcast, we did the podcast 2 weeks ago. I think it was, somebody brought up the educational videos, right? little videos about how to do this, how to do that, how to do the other thing. And I don't think there's anyone any more willing to invest the time in that, right? To invest the time making those type of videos for people to watch, to say, okay, when you're in a war band, these things are expected of you to do. Follow the leader, blah, blah, blah. Or when you're leading a war band, you should expect to, to have a handle on these things, A, B, and C. I just don't think there's anybody willing to put the time into that anymore. And and it's not that in and of itself is malicious. It's just the way it is. The player base, the size of the player base just isn't what it used to be. So.
Did you see what Fixer said?
Hang on, let me look. I'm trying to do multiple things here at once. Fixer says, none of that would do anything in Warhammer. The players have a new mentality, which is, I do less and I want it all. No matter how much you try, younger players will never go along. There is a clash between older and younger players, that's all. The game is an old style, and new players can understand it, because they have never played something like this, and in the days of our forefathers would never invest the time to learn. Fixer sounds like he's doing an introduction for the Lord of the Rings movie. New game in 2 weeks. Oh my god. All right, but it's a good point. Sorry, Fixer. I had to try to insert a little bit of humor here, but no, it's a good point. It's a good point. There is again, that's another of the dichotomies, right, that exist in the player base, I should say. That you're right. This game does reflect an older style of people who are used to the grinding mentality, I suppose, and people who are used to investing more time into something to get the rewards you want, versus those who want everything handed them in a WoW type fashion, I suppose. We don't play good games. We play the new game for 3 or 4 days, and then we need a new one. Yeah. Cosmo says I got to get my boots in this game. Let's see. Let's say I do a video. Why should I do it? So people can say, "Who are you to tell me what to do?" Okay, Fixer. That was the whole part of the commentary that I was making a moment ago. That I intentionally skipped that part. I'm glad you brought it up when I was talking about that nobody's willing to make those type of videos any longer. When you say, why should people make a video just so people can react negatively to it? Okay, I skipped that part, you brought it up, but it's true. Okay, it's true. Why should I make a video saying when you're playing Warhammer you should do this, when the predominant response you're going to get anymore is, negative. I'll just leave it at that. Better to just stream and curse at everyone to get viewers. Well, that's a whole nother can of worms, brother. When it comes to streaming, and that is a whole nother can of worms. Which I think in this particular format, I should probably skip. But again, I think. Well, go ahead, Tom.
I'm gonna. I'm gonna say this. When I started my quest guides, and I still get negative comments, and what Fixer just said is true. You'll get good comments along with bad comments. I just don't let the bad comments deter me and how I do my guides and stuff, as I put them out there knowing full well that, hey, no, people may not use them, but they'll be there for those that do. And when people ask me, or if people ask for, hey, I don't know where to find this, I can point them at it. And that sometimes all it takes is just that one random act of helping, and it gets the ball rolling, and it gets around to other people. And over the last 4 years, I've slowly built on the idea of trying to promote the positive reinforcement and helping people by doing what I'm doing to create that very environment I'm talking about. Sure, I'm one, at the end of the day, I'm one person. Does that mean I'm some kind of great white knight or something? No. Just means I'm stubborn and willing to try.
Well, that's one reason why, or maybe that's the reason, the primary reason, why people call you the legend when it comes to Warhammer. And because you have gone out there and set that standard, or really attempted to set that standard, that, it would just be, this is a game, and the game should be fun, and the community would be a better place if we would all just sort of take that into account, right? Just take that into account. That the main reason people come to a forum like this, a format like this, is again to escape, to try to enjoy themselves, and it would just be a much nicer place if there wasn't a segment out there that's always trying to crap all over that. So, you've always had my respect for that, Toth, and I hope the general population at large, and I think they do. I think they do get that. So, you can consider yourself successful in that regard to one degree or another. And for what it's worth, I agree with you. So.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, Naz, and I get what you're saying, Karis. It's you gotta start somewhere to encourage people to want to lead, to encourage people to want to change. You pick a point. It's like throwing a pebble in a lake of calm water. You start a little ripple, and it can build into something if you keep at it. But if you don't, then yeah, it's gonna fall apart. And as I've told people repeatedly, everything that I've done, I'm not doing it for self-gratification. It's not what it's about. And honestly, long after I'm long since, moved on from here, whatever, as long as people still find the information useful, then that's been that's the true success of it. And I leave it at that. And more people need to have the mindset of, hey, don't let the negative deter you. If you see a chance to help, then try. Don't just give up. Trust me, there's more of us out there that's willing to help and stand with you to get things going than some think. So don't buy into the line of, well, we gotta wait on this one person or we can't do anything. I see that so much on order. I'm sick of it. The world doesn't revolve around one person. it doesn't. It
All
just
right, I have. Well,
go,
if you're
go,
ready to move on, I have
go ahead.
a. Okay, I was just say I have a suggestion that I would like to put out to the audience at large, and let's see. Cosmo says, "Bring me in on this business Warhammer calls." I just got to bring up a different topic real quick, and just see if anybody has an opinion on it. Is all. So when it comes to the here it is. When it comes to the Weekend Warfront SC, I floated this idea once somewhere else, and I think it was on the forums if I remember correctly some time ago. But anyway, when it comes to the Weekend Warfront SC, in order to make it more accessible for everyone on the server who wants to complete it to be able to complete it, again, I think there should be it should be implemented that on any one particular character, when you complete the Weekend Warfront quest, when you complete it, that one particular character can no longer play in that one particular SC. Now, last time I brought it up, I got the usual responses. But what if I want to play with my friends? I mean, you can still play. You can still have an SC group. You can still do all the stuff that you could do prior. Just not in that one scenario. It's just one scenario on the entire list. And what that would prevent
1 second.
is
Ad break.
ad break.
Yeah.
Oh man, when I was just getting warmed up. All right.
Sorry. Just wanted to let you know to see what.
That's all right.
Oh, cause
Say
Good
again.
morning.
Oh, somebody came in. Who's this?
This is Cosimo, your old pal.
Thanks for coming in, buddy. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
it's a great conversation so far, and I'm so rarely around these days, so I'm happy to contribute. It's a good conversation.
Well, like I talked about earlier, I was up way too late last night, and I was under the spell of a mystical dragon. So,
Ah,
and I woke up like at 11:43, and I thought this is Sunday, and then Google told me that it wasn't, so I had to get up real quick and come on here and help Toth out. But
it's appreciated, Garrus. Thank you for coming on.
well, I will finish the point I was making, and then I will happily, as soon as Toth says we're back, I will finish the point I was making, then I will happily turn the field over to you for a bit.
I mean, just as you like. I don't have the topic list, but I'm happy to just,
There's not one.
there's
Oh,
not one on this.
There's not one.
For most podcasts, I just been doing it based on whatever topics we decide to discuss, unless I find some on the forums.
Sure.
Okay, it looks
we're
like
back.
we're back. All right. So we're joined now. This is, once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Toth Monra podcast.
Tosh is joining us.
Tosh is coming in too. That's good.
We're rolling.
This is Tosh. Is that you? Oh, sorry. Okay. Anyway, this is the Toth Monra podcast. We appreciate you guys listening, and the man himself is here once again. I'm just attempting to try to help facilitate. So we've been joined by Cosmo, and I hear Tosh is going to come in as well. So let me finish my point real quick, and then we'll be able to hear what other people have to think as well. And all I was talking about was the Weekend Warfront SC in regard to once it's completed on one, each individual character, that character can no longer queue for the Weekend Warfront. I think that would help the player base at large complete it, because it's not that it would bar pre-mades from getting in, but it would bar the exact same pre-made from being in the Weekend Warfront all weekend long. And that is a complaint that I've heard many times since this entire thing was implemented. I think the Weekend Warfront SC quest itself is great. I think it's a great thing for the game. But the one complaint I've heard about it time and time again is that it's sometimes difficult to finish, because the same pre-made that was in there Friday night is still there on Sunday, just farming it. So that would be my solution, and it doesn't block you from having your group together and playing all the other SCs, just this one. So that's it. That was the other topic I was going to bring up before we were joined, but we are joined now by some other folks. So Cosmo, say hello.
Good morning, folks. How you all doing today?
And Tosh, are you in there?
I am here.
Oh, excellent. Wonderful. Okay. Okay,
Hey,
then I will open the floor then, gratefully. I appreciate you guys coming in. I'll open the floor and go ahead.
Just looking to contribute on some of these subjects, because they are really good. Specifically just because we're on this subject right now, the Weekend Warfronts, not to drag it out too long, but you guys will have to forgive me because I'm not somebody who regularly does SCs, so I'd appreciate anybody who does play them more regularly than I, which is really at all, to kind of inform me a bit better on this. But I mean, is the server's population really like so healthy that like aren't there like solo queues and stuff like that we can use to address like pre-mates and stuff like that? Like, I mean, are we really just so overflowing with population right now that you could never get in with your buddies if you had to do a solo queue, or
allow me to clarify that one point, please.
Sure.
I'm not attempting with this suggestion. I was not attempting to address the issue of pre-mades. Pre-mades are fine. You can have all the pre-mades you want. The specific issue I was attempting to address was the fact that you have one pre-made that may start the Weekend Warfront SC queue on Friday, and they're there all weekend long, which in that one particular SC. And that tends to drive some players away. And so my only motivation in even bringing this up is just to try to remove one impediment where one weekly event is concerned that affects one weekly SC, to allow more people to complete it and get the little, they're useful trinkets if you complete the quest, right? But it would just keep the same people from farming the same SC over and over and over and over again for 3 days. So that's what I'm not trying to stop SC premates. SC premates are fine. They're a blast. I'm just talking about that one particular scenario.
No, I concur. Everybody's been there when they show up in an SC and they fight a group of really badass people, and
Like
they have.
language, please.
Oh, pardon. Sorry, me. Um, Usually I'm not talking, so I I don't have to. I can usually regulate myself a bit better. Sorry about that. Now I'm gonna have to ban myself. Darn. It was nice being here, guys. Sorry about that. Uh, but everybody's been there where you fight a really good team of people. They have the SC unlocked, and it's like, oh darn. Okay, well, queue back up. Same group, and yeah, no, that's. I mean, who wants to just continue to be beaten into the ground? I do think that it's absolutely fair to have a discussion about how to address that, because we've had that same question in so many other areas. I think it is perfectly fine to try and come up with a way, especially if it's a newer feature, like, well, newer in air quotes, to encourage more play on the weekends. Just that, that's an effort by the development team of Return of Reckoning, and it I think only reinforces that same goal of having that kind of event to address any issues that do crop up during that event. And like you said, Garrus, it's not to detract from, like, oh, we don't want any premates ever, because premates are just part of the game. I mean, whether it's an open RVR warband, or if it's just a 6-man group or whatever. But at the same time, yeah, it shouldn't, just so those people can farm kills in those weekly things or whatnot, shouldn't, the price for that should be everybody else who's just trying to.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at.
Before you guys go any further, to read what Naz just said in the chat and fix it for him my Discord.
Oh, we getting Fixer in here? Oh. This is Toast of the Town stream. It's gonna be great.
You got a comment on that, or? I'm sorry, not Tosh. Tosh, do you have a comment on that, or?
I will let Kaz finish first.
I mean, it's pretty much like, I think that's pretty much what I had to say. Like, as somebody who doesn't regularly play, I don't fully appreciate the intricacies of how those systems work, but I can absolutely concur with what little time I have spent in SCs, that coming up against a group that just absolutely steamrolls you every single time, it is demoralizing. And nobody who's on the receiving end, this has been mentioned countless times, is that, and I think specifically I've heard Karis mention this numerous times, just that you need to have both the initiating end have a rewarding experience, and the receiving end of an engagement have a rewarding experience. But if the receiving end is only getting annihilated every single time, I mean, find me an instance of that kind of situation where the receiving end is like, yeah, this is great. I'll wait.
Fixer, I don't see you in my Discord. I'm in my house. Talk Discord.
You may need to hop into one of the like general voice chats or something like that. There, Fix. I'm a moderator and I can't even see the live channel for some reason. It's Toth's fault. Howdy, Bombling.
Hello. Fixer's down in the
Oh,
I think below.
yes, it is Fixer. Hello.
I'm waiting on.
Whatever they attack with his fingers.
Hold on.
You're going by an alias.
There.
Wait a minute. No.
Hold on, cause I got Fixer in here. No, it's two different people.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let me-
Sorry, Bomb.
Allow me to just do a quick round the horn introduction once again, because this is great now. This is great. I'm once again, everyone, you're listening to the Toth Monra podcast, and again, I'm just acting as sort of a helpful facilitator. But we have been joined over the last few minutes by Cosimo, who was speaking about the current topic at hand. Tosh is here as well. Fixer TV, the man himself, is in the house, and Bombling has joined us. So thank you all very much. Sincerely, thank you all very much for coming in. And Tosh, I think you were up next on the rotation. If you have a comment, please.
I'm going to let others go because what I'm going to say is going to probably take around 10 minutes, and I don't want to intrude. So I'm going to let Fixer and Bombling speak first.
Okay. Well, I just tossed a coin, and Fixer called heads. So, Fixer, what do you got for us? Okay. Can you hear us, Fixer?
What were we talking about? Scenarios? Because I was in and out for a minute.
Actually,
That's why I haven't spoken. I was just waiting to see where we are.
well, actually, there was no set format today. Toth just wanted to get on and talk about, whatever came up. So, between you and Bombling at the moment, if there's something you want to talk about, please.
We were discussing the weekend war fronts, but we had been discussing warband leads, how to get newer upcoming people to want to lead, and how to address the constant infighting that happens with people not wanting to work together, was what we had talked about before you guys joined. But feel free to bring your own topic to the table.
Oh no! The last thing I remember was, I think it was Cause that was talking and said about, one side being steamrolled is demoralizing. Who wants to play like that? But that's a very old topic, and depends who you ask, what time of the day it is, what day of the week it is, if there's any events on. You always get the same answer from both sides. There's always someone losing, someone's winning, and there's always someone who's disappointed. And those that do lose, they always complain. The funny thing is that no one complains when they're winning too easily. You lose very quickly, you complain. You lose after a hard fight, you complain. But when you're winning and one-shot everybody, you never complain. Like, oh shit, this is, oops, sorry. Oh, that's like too easy. And we've been, discussing all these topics, scenarios, and RVR, and we need chains, and we need carrots, and we need gold, and we need this, and we need that. But the bottom line is, if people don't change their mentality to start playing fair and square, to start organizing in groups and guilds and communicate, this will never change. It doesn't matter how much carrots they give you. Even if you do a scenario with a full group and you're gonna get 1,000,000,000% more renown, it's gonna be people gonna be, yay, they're gonna make groups for the first week, then it's all gonna go back down to solo and complaining. I guarantee you that. If people don't change their mentalities, no matter what mechanism you create, no matter how many rewards you give them, they're still gonna go to that because that's what they know. Because they don't want to go through the hassle, or as they call it, waste of time to communicate with others or to find groups. So, this is why, and I'm sorry, but I have to say it because it's an information out there, sorry. This is why one of the systems in Interbellum is that you solo queue, you take 50% of the reward. You go as a group, you take full rewards. You go as a warband, you get plus 50% rewards. So it's all out there for you to choose. So then you can't complain. There's the options out there to take whatever option you want. But people like to complain, you know this.
I like griping.
I have a little bit of a take on this topic. I'm sorry that I came late. I went for a walk and it escalated to a full-on wander around in the wilderness.
Yeah.
I was listening.
Please. Go ahead, please.
I was listening to you guys on and off on the phone while I was walking, so I caught most of the earlier talks. But for the weekend warfronts, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, but all of the rewards from the weekend warfront can be gained in other avenues of the game currently, right? Like you can get the soul stones from the dungeon daily quest. You can get the event slot from either ranked, or you can get it from, I think, also the weekly dungeon pip introduction. And the same for the renown potion. You can get like the roleplay city quest for the 4 times renown potion, and you can get them from.
Okay, that is
Aviara.
true. That is true. It's all been, so it's all been crossed over and intermixed. Yeah.
As for the topic of if it's fun to go against premates when you're solo, I mean, that's kind of the stance the server has taken on how the game is played, right? It's a little bit in line with the topic that was ongoing on the forum last week with how is the reward model for the game. And right now the model, as I see it for scenarios, is that you have the option of queuing solo into Discordon if that is what you are. If you are solo, you can queue for that. But for some reason, Return Reckoning never had a solo queue culture. People instead queue for all because it's faster. But imagine if all the solos only queued for Discordon, it would pop way more often. So the culture is just not there to play it accordingly, if I dare saying it like that.
Yeah, but even if they do that, right, they're still going to complain when they lose, because there's 2 people from a guild, so they cheated the queue. Oh, we lost because we didn't have tanks. We lost because we didn't have healers. We lost because nobody was talking. We lost because you have to stack the units onto the flag, and we're all ranged. We can't actually stack. We don't have any stacking attacks. I can go on and give you 1,000 reasons why people don't want to do that.
But I think that's okay that people are complaining because they have the option of, if they want to have a better situation, they can forge that situation themselves by forming a premade, and then they can go into weekend warfront. They can do 6 versus 6. They can do 12 versus 12 and all of that. But listening to only the complainers, I don't think it's serving anything. It's okay to hear if they have anything logical to say, but I think that's already
there is nothing logical because you can still do a pre-made, go and lose, and then you complain how imbalanced the game is. And my point is this, that it's not one thing. It's not the queuing system alone. It's not the imbalance on the characters alone. It's not whether you solo pre-made alone. It's 1,000 reasons that generate this whole vicious cycle in the game. It's both the imbalance of classes, the population difference, the time zones, the queuing system, the mentality of the people, it just goes on. All of them contribute in every single problem. So you have to solve all of them at the same time.
Allow me to clarify something, please. When I brought this issue up about the weekend Warfront SC and a potential solution to just facilitate people being able to complete that one particular weekly event, Toth and I were the only two people in the stream at that moment. Okay, I want to I just want to make that clear. I brought it up just to have something else to talk about, as opposed to the entire warband thing that we had gone down. We'd already gone down that road. And since no one else was here at the time, I just thought I would talk about something that might generate a little bit of forum or Twitch chat. So I wasn't advocating. That the entire system be revamped for this, that, or the other thing. I just think
They're doing it.
I'm sorry. Let me finish real quick. When it comes to the one specific SC that happens to be assigned with the weekend Warfront, I don't like to see pre-mates farming that SC. I just don't. Now, you guys have all made good comments, and I do appreciate you being here, absolutely. And you all made good comments. But that's just, I suppose that's just my bottom line on it. Is it's aggravating to have groups farming that one particular SC because they know there are going to be a lot of pug players in there. Okay, so now that I've clarified that, please continue.
I mean, yeah. Well, and I think it's actually a good thing having more play. And you guys have all been long time, like everybody in here is a long time player on the server, so you all have, very experienced and very nuanced perspectives on the stuff that goes down in the game. Karis, actually, you were saying that there really isn't too much of a schedule for what we need to address today. So, I mean, so long as people are interested in continuing to circle around the table on it, I mean, we really need to get some. We really need like a note taker or something like that, so we can, put this stuff together afterwards and maybe make it a little bit more coherent, because getting somebody to edit a few hour-long videos is a pretty challenging task. I assume that's probably why they have note takers in courtrooms, is to make it so it's not so mind-boggling. But
your point, cause.
Did anybody want to continue on? Whether it be with the clarification that Karis made, that he's not talking about, and trying to address it in one way or another, but just rather that, the experience of facing that kind of outcome. Does anybody have, as you were just previously talking about, do you think that rewards or, limitations, or what is the right approach to kind of not necessarily solve the problem? Because I mean,
you're not gonna. I'm gonna cut you off there, cause there's no right approach, as Fixer pointed out. There's 1,000 different things that contribute to it, and unless you fix them all, you're not going to fix anything. You can't just. There's no one thing that's going to be the cure all. There's too many broken pieces.
Well, and just that there are too many pieces to begin with, really, broken or not. There's a lot of contributing factors, right? The base most amongst them.
Aside from what Karis said, is there anybody else that wants to comment or has another topic? Otherwise, I was gonna say, it's Tosh is up.
I wanna. Tosh wanted to talk for 10 minutes. I think it might be a good time to listen to him.
Yeah, let's get Tosh's thoughts.
You probably don't want my thoughts, guys.
No.
Tosh,
The-
you're here?
Guys,
Come on,
Said you
man.
wanted to talk for 10
Stop,
minutes?
stop,
Don't leave
guys.
us
Yeah.
hanging?
guys, stop.
Okay.
Tosh, go.
Okay. So, there's two things I'm going to talk about because I've been listening to this conversation as my wife and I were driving around. We're going to the park and things like that. So I wasn't able to talk previously. So the first thing I'm going to bring up is a comment that Toth said probably about maybe 45 minutes ago. I'm going to paraphrase Toth. And again, I'm not attacking you or anyone else with this comment. And if I misunderstood, please correct me. But there was a comment that I believe you made, and you said you didn't understand why people play an MMO, but then they don't play like in groups or with others. Okay? Is that something you said, or did I misunderstand you, or did I mishear you?
You caught part of it is I don't understand the reason why people don't want to try to work together from solo all the way up to 24 man. What I was trying to stress out is that there's no point to play an MMO if you're going to be antisocial and combative with every single person you run across. Was what I was getting at.
Okay, then I will go ahead and drop that topic because then I would agree with you. So I'm gonna leave that one alone. I misunderstood what you said, and I took it incorrectly. So I'm happy that you clarified it. So I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna move on from it then. So then what I'm gonna talk about is what Karasana is talking about, which is what we've discussed this in the past. This exact topic. So I'm sure Karasano's not gonna like the fact of what I'm gonna say because I've already told him publicly about my feelings about it, but I'm going to say it again. And I want to reiterate because I want to make sure that everyone understands what the Weekend Warfront is. The Weekend Warfront is a 3-day specific SC that has specific rewards in itself. It's not a normal scenario where you just queue up and you just, do the scenario and you leave. It's almost like the open RVR weekly where you get there's segments where, if you meet certain criteria, you get special rewards as you move along. So what Karasana is talking about is that on Friday, when the Weekend Warfront starts, let's pretend that Bomblean has a 6-man that he is going to queue up for scenarios. And Bomblean decides to run a 72-hour marathon of just queuing that one particular scenario with his 6-man nonstop. So that's what Karasana is basically talking about, is that Bomblean in this scenario.
That's a bit of hyperbole, but
okay,
go ahead.
But that's what Karasana is basically talking about, is that he doesn't want Bomblean to be able to queue up with, let's say, his renown rank 91 or 92 Bright Wizard for all 3 days non-stop and just farm 16,000 kills and not allow others to have a easy path to accomplishment. And I understand from a perspective of what Karasana is talking about in that regard. However, where I disagree with Karasana is that a pre-made like Bomblean isn't winning because of Bomblean's character itself. They're winning because he's in a pre-made that's coordinated in Discord. Bomblean can swap out 24 characters, and so will his other 5 friends swap out 24 characters in those 3 days, and still demolish any pug group that goes in there, because he can just swap out, and they're still in Discord, and they're still in a coordinated group. Well, now, what this would affect would be, let's say, if you're a new player that only has 1 character, and then you can't do it because you have completed the Weekend Warfront. Then that would affect that person because you couldn't queue up for it again. But somebody like Karasana, somebody like Tothmana, somebody like myself, somebody like Bomblean, somebody like anyone who's been in this game for over a year, has multiple characters who are probably renown rank 80 and higher, fully geared out and ready to go. So let's say, for example, if my Slayer finished it off, well, I would log out my Slayer and log in my AM. and I'd still be in that same pre-made. I'd still be in that same coordinated group. I'd still be in that same group of people farming that same scenario for the next 72 hours. So what would change?
Karisana, do you have any point to this? And if you do, can I ask that we split this topic up into the leveling scenarios, so between level 1 to 39 and just level 40? Because I think that's also important.
Well, to address that point, again, I was only talking about the live event weekend Warfront SC, whatever that would happen to be. And I did make the comment earlier that when it came to running pre-mades, more power to you. Running pre-mades, you've got all the other scenarios that are still open to that. I was, again, my intent was just to address the issue of people who have completed the weekend Warfront SC on a particular character on Friday, still running that character on Sunday because they're part of a group. Now, Toth has brought up the alternative of what would it matter if they have different characters that they can bring to the party. I don't care how many characters people can bring to the party. I don't care if you have 100 of them that are all around rank 358. You can bring them all one at a time. That's not the issue. The issue is the optimal pre-made that you started with on Friday, farming the same SC over and over and over and over and over again for whatever amount of time you can be on for that 3-day period. And I bring this up because I've seen it for myself, and other people have brought it up, and other people have talked about it, that it is just aggravating. Let's make up a name. To go in the pre-made or to go into the weekend Warfront SC on Friday and see backfront records on their witch elf, and then so you take some time off, you come back the next day and they're still in there, and you come back on Sunday and they're still in there with all the same guys. That's it, guys. That's it. That's the only issue I was attempting to address, was that by putting a block on that one SC for when a particular character completes it, you got to move on to another character. Do I care that you could still make a pre-made? No. More power to you. But
Do you think the character is what's determining that pre-made from winning?
sometimes, absolutely. You
I'm
have
sorry.
you have an optimal pre-made that people want to run. If because it's happened more times than I can remember, that in certain guilds, again, I'm keeping names out of this today, but in certain guilds that I've been part of, when they say, all right, let's form our pre-made, there is everybody brings the same guy. Every time you form a pre-made, they all start out, you bring the same guy. And because there's an optimal setup that you can have. Why do you think you see Dahaka all the time on his one particular character?
Because he likes it.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Dahaka can do the weekend Warfront SC if he wants to, but he's gonna have to change at some point, right? That's the only thing I'm getting at. There's an optimal setup that people use, and for one particular SC, so that everybody can have a better chance to complete it for different reasons, for whatever reason they're in there. That was why I was suggesting putting that one particular block.
Sorry to interject here, guys.
Go ahead.
Instead of, because I mean, that was a very good point that was brought up. Like, if somebody just wants to play on their character because it's their favorite character, I mean, who are we to say no? You can't do that. And I think that's a very fair point. Is there a way, maybe on the flip side of this, instead of the person who is super high geared and able to roll through people or whatever because they know the game way better, they know how X, Y, and Z reasons as to why they're such a great player at the game. Is there a way maybe that we could bolster without, could we bolster the people who are on the receiving and losing end of that interaction? Can we bolster that, not in terms of their levels or skills or anything like the actual bolster system, but is there a way that we could almost... Sorry, I'm having a hard time articulating it. You know, bolster their reward,
No.
even though
No.
they are losing.
No. You
No.
You cannot do that. That's the whole carrot and stick. It doesn't work.
But I mean, it's not even a carrot and stick.
I've been
Sorry, Todd,
sitting
go
here listening to what Karis has said and what everyone else said. It still boils down, even if you put the block in, people could still go form pre-mades just on other characters. There's nothing going to stop them from still rolling over, because at the end of the day, the better skilled player that knows their tune better is going to most likely be the one that wins, because they're going to be able to work together and accomplish their goal.
Yes.
I mean, that's just my viewpoint on it. I may be wrong, but at the end of the day, that's what it boils down to. It doesn't matter what you try to come up with. It's people can shift around to other tunes and still get in discords, still form pre-mades, and still dominate. If you got people that are casual players that won't try to improve, that are just going to complain, trying to hope that they get their way, I'm sorry, but accept the fact that you're just not going to win and move on. You've got to consciously either, one, improve yourself, or find a team to work with, or it's just not going to work. You can't sit here and throw a tantrum and like, oh, I want everything for nothing, which seems to be something I see quite a lot of.
I mean, again,
this is not at all. I'm sorry. This is not at all where I meant for this to go.
No.
It was not the intent. Okay, it's not at all where I meant for this to go.
That's totally fine.
So, Tosh, did you have a chance to finish what it was you wanted to say? Tosh, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm just gonna say this last part, then I'll let this topic go. Because Karasan, I'm sorry. You know, I like you, dude. I think you're cool, but I think you're wrong about this. I think you're misguided. I'm sorry to say, a person is not better, generally speaking, because of the character that he or she plays. That person makes the character better. So it doesn't matter what character a person's going to play. If they're in a coordinated group, they're going to dominate you for 3 days straight in a weekend Warfront SC. You know, if they're in a 6-man pre-made, they're going to be running a 2-2-2 no matter what. They're going to be coordinated, they're going to be communicating, they're going to be assisting, they're going to be using every product in the book they can do to dominate you. So the point of saying, you know what, Tosh, don't bring in your Slayer, but you know what, I'm going to let you bring in your whatever you have that might also be around rank 90 that you can dominate just as much. That's fine, but don't bring in your Slayer. Or Bomley, don't bring in your Bright Wizard, but go ahead and bring this in and still dominate us because you're still in a coordinated group. I do not believe that the character that somebody plays is what's determining why that pre-made is winning. I believe that pre-made is winning because they're a pre-made and they're coordinated and they're communicating. You can give them any character in the book and they're going to dominate somebody who is not communicating with other people. They're not in a Discord. They're not communicating and they're not working together. Plain and simple. So they could be 6 blind characters and they're still going to dominate you because they're a pre-made. Their class does not dictate their form of domination. What dictates their domination is that they're coordinated and they're pre-made.
Yes.
All right, two things. We needed some background music for that. Like,
I mean, I do not
I
understand the concept of, oh, you know what? You're good on this character because this character makes you good. No, you're good on this character because you made the character good. Plain and simple is how I see it.
Well, contrary to popular belief, I don't mind being wrong. But all right, go ahead.
I just like to reiterate because I think some people missed my point. And again, I know that we've been belaboring this particular issue, but I'm not advocating, and nor like when I clarified when I was speaking before, that it's a good point that we shouldn't be able to necessarily, if somebody wants to play a Bright Wizard because they enjoy playing a Bright Wizard, like who are we to say no? But at the same time, can we possibly approach this from another direction and still try and achieve the goal that we're setting out to, which is instead of on the initiating end, the people who are dominating and slaughtering, like, which is fine. You know what? If that's what you're doing, and you know what, like, until we find a more kind of amicable and fitting solution for the problem that seems to persist, you know, right? But for the receiving end, for the players that are on the receiving end of that treatment, can we possibly have any sort of buff while, and I'd just like to really emphasize this as well, because I can see the problem looming on the horizon, that it's like, well, if you give people something for nothing, they could just AFK in a scenario and still get something. But even if you're losing, is there any way that we could, continue, like, stack some sort of like reward or buff to their renown or the resources that they gain if they continue to lose?
No.
To just, well, sorry, Toth, hang on a second. Just as, like, instead of us trying to limit the people who are just playing on their characters, whether they are wanting to go on a pug stomp or not, or if they're just wanting to play the character that they like to play, are we able to help the people on the receiving end? Because the people on the perpetrating end, they don't need any help. If they're winning, they're winning. But are we able to help the people who are losing, at least to some degree, so that it's not as much of a slog for them to gain throughout a few weekends that reward or whatever that the other people are gaining quicker because they're winning?
They
Like,
already
really?
did that in the past, though, on the server, like half a year ago. Sorry if I cut you off, but they already
go ahead.
They already implemented, so the losing side is gaining more rewards. But that kind of it works both sides, because then the people who are quote unquote putting in less effort than the pre-made will keep coming back and take another one to the chin. And who is that good for?
Yeah, well, here's an idea. Unlock the flags. Why are you forcing people to go to a flag fight? If you win the flag, then you move to the next one. Unlock the flags. So if a pre-made wants to take flag A, everybody can run to B, C, and D and claim those. And if they're blindfolded and then just attacking the war camp, then by the time they realize the flags are taken, you lost. We have no other way of winning a scenario except dominate by killing your enemy. So if you're outplayed, better skills, higher levels, I don't know, better communication, you have no other way. You either go on the flag and die, or you AFK. You don't have a tactical thing. Before, you could do that. I mean, I have won solo scenarios because the pre-mates were trying to kill 3 people at the war camp, like spawn camping them, and I went behind them and took the flags. And by the time they realized it, there wasn't enough time for them to get the points. We won the scenario, outgunned and outmanned. Now you just don't have that. And the scenarios were never about killing. They were about tactics. That was the difference between OpenRVR. OpenRVR, you run in there, you kill, and you win. Scenario was all about organizing better, showing your skills because lower numbers and everything you do matters, and had the tactics. Control this, control the enemy, control the flags, play the resources, things like that. They took all that away and they locked the flags, and you have no alternative. So if you're outgunned, there's nothing to do. Period.
Okay.
But that's only for one portion of the scenarios, because not all scenarios have like a Grumroad Crossing sort of playstyle. Like, what's another example? Serpent's Passage. There's only one objective. If the premate is blocking at the beach, your war camp, and they refuse to run the path, you're pretty much taking it into a hostage situation, because you cannot get around them because they're blockading, and they're happily farming until you can surrender.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, yes, but don't forget, like, where is it? Reclam Factory has the flags open. You can see that gameplay happening. It has both elevated and low ground positions from a lane range to play and create situations and tactics. You can never be spawn camped on that one. You cannot be spawn camped in Northern Watch. You have options, but then you go to what's the other one? It's not Is this Gromlin Crossing? I think it's Gromlin Crossing. You go in the middle, and then you have to cap that one, and then move to the next one, then move to the next one. That one is you lock to either you kill or you can progress. You have no alternative. So some of the mechanics there are wrong on the scenarios. And scenarios, like I said before, since the launch of the game, were about tactics, not just killing everything.
Sorry, guys, I don't mean to interject here, but just because the topic of being farmed at the war camp is a constant in all of these. And Fixer, you mentioned about getting out and claiming certain objectives or whatever. And obviously, considering that the mechanics of the scenario have to, be properly accommodating of, kind of breaking those stalemates. Could we possibly utilize maybe something like the Skaven tunnel system, but in of whatever flavor way or whatever that fits destruction, in order to be like, our scouts found a way around this, so you don't need to spawn at it. Basically, would instead of one choke point, it would make multiple choke points. So it's like,
that has already been addressed on Max's video. They said they're going to do specific different spawn points in a non-circular way, so you spawn, I don't know, either differently, you have more exits.
Okay.
But until something is implemented and tested, and we don't know when, we don't know if it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, we have no design to check. So, I don't know.
Okay, well, it's good that, I find that this is often, or it seems to be often the case, at least when I bring up points, people will point out, well, they're already doing that. And I feel like often we kind of get ourselves worked up for things that are already being worked on. But honestly, and I mean, you guys are content creators. You all have experience with this. You all have vast libraries of, your talking points about specific issues. And sorry, I don't really have an end to this part.
So I'll give you an end to that. I agree with you. We talk about things that maybe we mentioned on the upcoming update and changes on the developer's video update, right? So some of the problems we're already discussing here, which exist, they're going to be fixed. The problem is this. The population is low, okay? We've just been through the summer, now we're going to fall. So summer the population drops even further, which puts a heavy weight on the population in the sense that, okay, there's no one around, I'm going to go and play something else, maybe I'll come back. So at this point, with all the problems and the classes being chopped to nothing, in my opinion, half the classes are not even playable because of the new ability system, they reverted things back and all this. So right now, Return of Reckoning is bleeding. It's hemorrhagic on people because, like, I don't play because the engineer's been destroyed. There's nothing to play with that class, in my opinion. So we're losing, community is losing people because we destroyed the classes. We have problems in scenarios. We have lag. We have a lot of bugs, pools, skills, imbalance, and all that. And we're licking people. And as we lose people, population goes down, and things get even worse, right?
Yeah.
But we have hope something is going to happen in an unknown amount of time. I don't know about you, but personally, unknown amount of time we're going to... And also I have this impression, it's my impression on this, that a lot of people, and I could be, of course, wrong, right? I'm one of them. It's like, oh, when the new ability system is going to implement, everything is going to be fixed, right? But it's going to be like, well, let's say, I don't know, 1st of December we start, and then 3 months later starts the balance of the characters. Not all of them. Then 3 months later starts the RVR change. Then 3 months later we'll start something else. So scenarios, for example, could be a year after the launch of the system. This is the point. We're losing people, and by no fault of the devs, of course, everything is moving too slow. And the question is, when all these things are going to be fixed, is there going to be anybody left playing the game, or at least an amount of people which is enough for people to play the game? It's a time issue right now.
I want to interject there because that is a that sort of strikes to the core of the issue, the belly of the beast. It exposes that question exposes a dark heart of everything else that could be talked about, and that's the fact that by the time the changes are made that would make the game better and more attractive, will there be anybody left to play it? My suggestion is, however, that we table that question at the moment, and simply because there's a time factor involved here. We've already the podcast. You guys haven't been here as long. The podcast has been on for 2 hours, and Toth, there are certain considerations where Toth is concerned.
It's
so
fine. As if I would rather it continue and people here have a good, solid discussion. If I need to stop, I'll let you guys know.
Okay, all right.
No, trust me.
Thank you, Todd.
Okay, well then let me go around the horn because I guess the most logical question to ask at this moment is, do we want to discuss that issue? Do we want to discuss the issue that Fixer has brought up? And that at some point all of this becomes tragically academic if there's nobody to play the fracking game.
Yep.
So, Tosh, we haven't heard from you in a while. Let's start with you.
I think it's a topic that needs to be discussed, that has been discussed in the past for probably since 2020 on some level, that this game has been called a dead game. Probably even before I even started on the server back in 2016, this game has been called a dead game by somebody on some level. However, I do agree with Fixer wholeheartedly in the sense that the changes that we're waiting on is just basically the step 1 change out of 10 steps that have to be changed. And I think it's going to be probably in the league of too late to actually matter by the time everything is finally done, because who knows, after they have finished all 10 steps of getting everything fixed, or quote-unquote fixed, well, we know there's still going to be problems, there's still going to be balance issues, there's still going to be issues that players come across that say, well, this is still broken, or this is broken, or this isn't fair, or okay, now we have a new queue system, but now I'm waiting 3 hours to get into an SC instead of 30 minutes, so this is now one fun, or whatever the case may be. And they're going to keep losing people because of that fact. I don't know what the server can do to regain population and to keep it steady. we've talked about in the past that, and I actually talked about this on my stream on Friday. This server does not have an issue, in my opinion, of getting new players. We have a brand new streamer from France right now who's streaming this game anywhere between 200 and 400 people. He's running a warband with his friends that they brought over from another game. So he brought over 24 people himself. They're all lobby characters, all trying to grind and try to have fun. So we're getting new players. The problem on the server is retaining these players for more than 90 days or 120 days. That's
Exactly.
the problem. That's
Even
the
that
problem.
long.
That's the problem this server has is retaining because what ends up happening is that as soon as they hit level 40, okay, someone knows, okay, oh, we got fresh meat. It's almost like somebody goes to prison. Fresh meat in the hallway. We got some fresh meat. Let's show them what happens. Then they end up getting just demolished over and over and over again. And then half of them say, you know what? This game is no longer fun. And half of them leave. And then the other half say, well, without them, we don't have a party or we don't have friends. So they slowly leave. And they slowly go out.
Yeah, and not to
That's the
mention-
problem this server has. It's not getting players.
Tosh, this guy you mentioned, because I'm watching the streams, in the forums and everything. I've seen this guy you're talking about. And on the point they're going to get demolished, there's another little problem there. They're not just going to get demolished because they don't play the game right, they don't have the numbers, they're not coordinated. Most of these guys probably are on Discord, they're friends, they're with a streamer, their streamer, and this. The problem is, they could possibly fire Warband and have a lot of fun and still lose. The problem is that they get strip sniped by 3 Warbands. And they get completely demolished. Because I've done that, and I was in guilds or like hardcore PvP, and they said, no problem, we have more people to fight. And they were, and then we start having, because I don't put in delay on my stream, and then when we start having 3 Warbands annihilating us in every single turn, whether we were hiding on PV to get in, they kicked me out, because it was destroying the game for the other 23 people. There's also an issue, not just on the devs and the updates and the delays and the slow pace and all this. There's also an issue in the community that they intentionally go and destroy, and they're going to kick those 200 and 400 people out of the game. They could have stayed, even with it, with imbalance and the problems and this and that, because they're having fun. But when they get demolished like this purposely, they leave. That's another problem.
1 second, Fixer. Ad break, guys. Two minutes.
Toth, can the streamer hear me, or is everyone on ad break?
It's there's an ad break right now.
Hold on.
No, I was actually going to talk internally if no one can hear us.
Hold.
Some can.
Right, guys?
Hold on, and I'll mute it for a second. Alright, it's muted. I can't hear you. What's up? Hold on. I'll reset it where they can hear you. Give me a second.
Quiet today.
Oh, you guys are moving the topic like 3 times before I get to say this, but it's fine.
I promise, Bomley. I'll promise I'll go to you next.
Let's
Let me
let's
just
have
make
let's
my-
have, let's have Baumlin talk about why solo players shouldn't be allowed.
I think Karazana had a point he wanted to.
Yeah, let me
introduce
just finish this because I think everybody who's listening and the server at large needs to hear this. Because Tosh brought up the point that he was just voicing a counter opinion, and I countered that that's fine. That's why we're here. Like Cosmo said, that's why we're here, and none of that bothers me. I don't take any of that personally. But this format that Toth has set up, this format right here that Toth has set up, this is how things need to be discussed. This is how all the issues need to be brought before the community, right? That's why I've always tried to support Toth in whatever way I could, because he's got the right idea. This is the format that we need to participate in to help promote these issues and get people to talk about. Because what typically goes on, sometimes I've heard this, there's a rumor going around that people can get nasty in Discord channels and stuff like that. I mean, I've heard that happens. But that's exactly what one of you were saying. That's what helps drive people away from the game. And the last thing we need to do is drive people away from the game. All right, so with that, Bombling, I will give the floor to you, please.
First of all, just listening to Karazana and Two Shot Kid Up, it sounded like you guys talked a little bit beside each other with the Weekend Warfront. The way I heard it was, Karazana, you wanted to talk about the issue that many people experience when they are trying to do Weekend Warfront and they are facing a pre-made. And you gave an idea, and to shut it up, you lingered and focused fully on the idea, but we didn't really discuss the topic of the pre-made itself. So that was just my observation from that. Maybe I didn't read that right or hear that right, but it seemed like you talked a little bit.
You heard it right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just how I heard it, and then we went down that tangent. And what was the other topic afterwards? The whole doom and gloom, the future of the server. Personally, people calling them they're destroying the classes. Let me put it like this: the only changes they are removing are the ones they implemented themselves. If people don't have faith that they can rebuild these classes, that's a little bit unfair, in my opinion, because it's literally they're taking all the Return of Reckoning changes away. And if people don't have faith that they can rebuild them, that's I don't agree with that. The thing I agree with is the delicate matter of how long will it take, because if they're doing 4 patches after this 1.8.4 patch, and one will be tank patch, one will be healer patch, one will be melee DPS, one will be range DPS, it really sucks being engineer and makers and being on the 4th patch if each patch is going to say, how long did they say, 1 to 2 months between each patch. That is going to be very bad for the game, no question about that. But this is all speculation and all doom and gloom. And if people don't have faith that this server, because all of the unknown factors, will falter and turn into a ghost town, it has been called a ghost town and a dead game so many times over the years. It's still here. It survived World of Warcraft Classic, all these other games, New World, all of it. Now a new server is coming out that has nothing proven. It's just concepts. So far, it's like people have more faith in that. I'm just not buying into that. That's just me personally. People are more than welcome to disagree or whatever, but I'm just naive, and I think Return of Reckoning is going to survive this as well.
I'm right there with Bombling on this one.
So am I.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's going to survive. Nobody said that. I mean, there's always an influx of new people. The thing is, how many people, like, for example, Bombling is going to stay, is going to keep playing and wait for the changes. Some other people don't. A lot of the people that come in, the young ones, they want instant gratification, fast fights, That's the thing. And the less people, the more likely is that it's not going to have that 1,500, 2,000 on prime time and the other time zones. That's what we're talking about. And also, just a little parenthesis, they didn't remove all the RoR changes they did on the classes. They removed some. And they also removed some of the originals because the turrets took away their abilities, and the squig has half the ROR changes. So it's not a flat removal and return to 148.
I understand that. It's a bit custom. I agree.
Yeah, it's a bit it's not that just remove all the stuff they did. Okay, so the server kind of at 7 years ago. So we took 148 when we started the server. So let's say they removed everything, which they didn't. They go there and now they have to rebuild everything they did from the beginning. And there's also more questions about this, such as, are they going to rebuild the classes the way they were before they reverted the changes to 148, or are they going to take a different path on the builds of the classes? Is there, because I don't know, this is an honest question, do they have a class balancing team? Are the realm champions still in play? I have no idea who's going to do all these changes. And more importantly, if we're going to go back to how it was before this, or they're going to do different things on the classes to bring them back to some sort of a ROR version.
So, just curious. So that big ability patch that they were talking about for ages, they finally rolled that out?
No,
Oh,
still in
well, okay
development.
then. All right, all right.
They announced it a month and a couple of days ago, and nothing new since then. Really, they just made a video and repeated all of it.
Okay. I think when's the last time the developers came on the RoR podcast?
It's been a while.
I've extended an invite to them. They just at the moment their attention's focused on what they're working on.
Fair. I mean, just for the developers. I mean, if any of them are listening or come back and watch this, it might be worthwhile to set aside maybe an hour or two with a list of kind of like questions or issues that be addressed, and just to kind of update people on, because I mean, even being kind of pillars of the community that you guys are, if you're not on the development team and you can't actually talk about, because you don't know about what progress is being made, honestly, our own efforts, sorry, not mine, I'm just here,
Right.
your guys' own efforts may even serve, while well-intentioned, serve to almost undermine simply like your own goals, simply because we just don't know. And I think that maybe a little clarification should be given, so that you guys, the kind of more faces of the community, can properly communicate what information you've been given.
Can I comment on that, Cause, when you're done?
I'm
Please.
done.
So I agree with you 100% that it should be done that way, and I also agree with you that I don't call myself a content creator for the server, but whatever name you want to give me or anyone else, fair enough, fine.
Influencer.
Is that we can be causing a detrimental thing as well, because we could be talking about things that either A, never happen, or B, we sound doom and gloom ourselves. However, I'm going to say this. I have reached out to the team in the past, and I have asked people that's part of the team to come onto my stream and do some sort of interview, to talk about the project. The response that I got from people in the team was that, well, I can't talk to you unless my boss gives me permission to talk to you. And then I go and I talk to that boss, and this person tells me I don't see a point in doing that.
I have a little bit of info here. Sorry if I cut you off.
So give me
Wait.
1 second. Give me 1 second,
1 second.
Bomley. So that's part of the issue right now, is that we are all asking, or we've all been requesting for a long time, to hear from the team directly or indirectly in some sort of manner. There was going on months and months where we heard nothing. Now, Max did come out with this video a month ago, and I am quite happy that Max did that. However, I wish there was still more communication openly from the team about the project and about other things. And it just seems like we're kind of going back into the thing of, well, now let's sit around and we're all going to contemplate what's going to happen in 2035 or whatever the case may be. So that's where we're at right now. Bomling, go ahead.
So, Fixer, you asked a couple of questions, and none of us here knew it, but Gravot said yes in Twitch chat. Not sure if you saw it. And then he said,
Yeah, but yes, in which one?
Yeah, and then he sent me a clarification. He said, and I'm
Okay.
quoting here, not sure Fixer read Toss's chat, so you can tell on stream that the best balancing team, that there is a balancing team, and it has a clear plan and working to deliver. End of quote.
That's cool. That's cool.
that
Because,
is- that is the information we have now.
Good.
Gravor, if you want to join us, just do exclamation Discord in the chat. You're more than welcome. I've told you, you're always welcome on the show. Everyone has a voice.
Yeah, I also asked him, and he said he's on a laptop that is not running better than a phone, so he can't.
Fair
guys.
enough.
Thank you for having me. I gotta go and cook at the moment, so I was
Oh.
kind of like, I came on the stream because I happened to be around. So I'll see you next time.
Fixer,
Yeah.
Fixer, we're gonna come see you in Greece pretty soon. Be ready for us.
I am always ready for visitors, dude.
Always
welcome.
We
You
want
can come
some good food.
You can come any time of the year you want. We'll find some spot for you here in the house. No worries.
Oh my God, you're gonna make my wife so happy.
And we'll work something out.
You get
See you
a-
later. Gotta go cook.
See you, man.
Later.
Take care.
Well, I'm
Just-
gonna say something because this I can say because I have this directly from the higher ups. They're not ignorant or blind to what you guys just said, and I blatantly put it to them that they need to talk more to the community. They understand that they are better understand it now, and from what they relayed, they plan to want to be on the show more to where they can talk to you guys. Now, as to when that will be, right now their main focus, they're tied up with trying desperately to push through with the ability system. I can't say more than that, but they do want to have more one-on-one with the community. So they have actually heard you guys, and it kind of left field shocked me because that come out of Max and the rest of them, but they do have intentions of wanting to have more interaction with you guys. I think so. The podcasts have opened the door, and as I've said, I send them copies of the podcast, so they're hearing what you're saying. And now it's just them making the time to actually be here, and I repeatedly remind them, hey, come in, even if it's only for a few minutes, and just talk, chat with us about the various things. I'm not saying get the third degree, but it would certainly help.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe there's a discussion to be had with the staff about, because I remember that they put out a call a while ago for more staff members. It would be interesting to inquire with them whether or not any of those kind of needs were met for them. Maybe, instead of just as players, even though that is primarily what we all are, and what we started as, maybe we can better support them so that they can better support the server, and we can have a bit more of a positive feedback loop in that regard. If that makes any
Well,
sense.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Tosh. Go ahead, Tosh. Go ahead.
I was going to say, cause I think that's a very nice thing to say, and I think that's a very optimistic thing or goal to move towards. However, I think if we look just at society in general, that generally does not happen. People generally don't like to be put into a position of where they can be openly criticized by a mass amount of people, or be looked at as some sort of person of influence or power, or whatever the case may be. They don't want to have that, so they would rather just sit on the sidelines and just talk internally within their own group of people about whatever they do or do not like about something. I agree with you. I wish more people, including myself, I am not in any way abolishing myself from this. I need to be more involved in the program itself, and I'm not. But I just think it's kind of an idealistic thing to want, but I don't think in society-wise it's where we're going to have something like that, where we have, let's say, 100 players all want to be part of the program, all be part of the server to help better the server. I think people would rather have 2 people do that and 98 just play and sit on the sidelines, and they complain about what those 2 people are doing.
Sorry, Karis, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say that's kind of the key, right? That regardless of how many people are actively involved in attempting to grow the server or make it a better place, there are always going to be those that are going to do nothing but complain about it. That Tosh is right. That's just life. But anyway, and so that's why I was laughing. I just thought that was kind of funny. But go ahead, Cosmo.
Yeah, no, like I totally agree. Like there will always. I mean, that's just like you said. It's just life. It's a fact of life that you can't please everybody, and that's fine. But our concern shouldn't necessarily be with those people, because if those people want to just sit around and complain, great. If they want to sit around and complain while we're trying to make the server a better place, great. You just sit there and you whinge and you do your thing, and you know what, we'll just keep doing our thing. And if it ends up being that the server is healthier for it, great. They'll probably still be there whining away going, oh, this is terrible, the devs suck for this, blah blah blah, and they are entitled to have their little opinion. But our primary care is obviously the server, and we can all agree on that. And I mean, obviously, just by what was just said here, I think that's self-evident. But yeah, actually, I'm thinking myself here that as a player, as a person who's very passionate about this project, but as someone who doesn't necessarily get on as much as I'd like to, it makes me even wonder if maybe I could contribute in a way other than just playing the game, and maybe more helping. Oh,
but you
sorry.
have. You have contributed just by being here. That's
well, that's true. Like,
and that's yeah. Here's what I'd like to do. I'm sorry. Here's what
go ahead.
I'm at that point where I'm gonna have to move on fairly soon here. So what I want to do, please, as the moderator, without screaming, I am the moderator. I don't know who's gonna get that joke, but anyway, go around the horn one more time and see if anybody has another comment, something they want to bring up real quick. And then, of course, we'll give Toth Monra, of course, we'll get the last word, because this is the Toth Monra podcast after all.
Yes.
And I keep saying that I'm just acting as moderator to try to help the guy out. but it is the Toth Monitor podcast, and it's in context of the server, it's a great thing. So let's just start off at the top of the list. Bombling, do you have something else you would like to add in, please?
To the last topic, I tried to get a word in, but you guys are very talkative, which is fine.
Sorry.
One word that was just constantly jumping to my mind was just community management. Like that is missing so much lately. And I'm not saying it was better in the past. I'm just saying it's missing right now. And it doesn't have to be the devs coming in and sitting and talking to the community. There is literally a role for that, community management. And that was just my overall thought to everything that was said the last 10 minutes about the last topic.
That's an excellent point.
I miss
Okay.
Game Spawn.
It was better in the past. I'll say it.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe
I'm
that's
just saying.
something.
I'm just saying it missing right now, and it's missing badly. And yeah,
Fair.
the roles seem to already be filled, but the work is not being put in. And yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Fair.
All right, Tosh, you have
Karen?
anything for us?
I'm sorry, you talking to me or Toth?
Yeah, Tosh. Sorry, Tosh. You have another point you want to throw in real quick here?
Peace, love, and happiness for all.
Damn right. Or dang right.
Oh man.
Oh, crumbs.
That was well timed. All right, Cosmo.
Just as something that was, said earlier, Karis, I think it was you, just by being here, and I'd really like to, re-emphasize that to every single player on the server, because people can cry to the end of time about how it's a dead game, and this isn't a new thing. This has been going on with every single game ever. And we live in a time where there's unparalleled amounts of choice, and so much effort needs to be put in to vie for people's attention. And there's problems that have spawned from that. But just know that, even though you're just coming here to enjoy a game and play and have fun, whether it's alone or with your friends, that you do contribute to the health of the server, and that obviously the content creators here and a lot of other players hope that this server continues to grow. Otherwise they wouldn't spend their time here, and they wouldn't still talk about it passionately like they do.
Yeah.
So thank you all for being a part of that, because this game does deserve that. It's a great game, and as you guys have said, it offers something that really isn't available anywhere else. And it's got its problems, like anything in life. But people are working very hard in their own free time to make it a better place. So thank you for being a part of that.
Cause,
On
are
that
you running?
point-
Cause, I'm sorry. Cause, are you running for political office or something?
I would like to run for political office, but I don't think people would vote for me.
Because, my God, man. I mean, you sound like you're running for, like, vice president or something. I mean, Jesus.
The new mayor of Altdorf.
God.
We can make that an honorary position. Cosmo is now the new honorary mayor of Altdorf.
What are you doing? What are you doing about state taxes, Cause? I want to hear you put in on that.
Too many
don't talk to
rats.
me
You got to
about
do
taxes.
something about the rats running around everywhere.
What are those tunnel people called in the Gotrek and Felix books? We need some more of them. Tunnel patrols or whatever. Go clean out those Skaven out of the sewers. Clean up the city.
Yeah,
All right,
That would actually, that would actually be a cool quest line or live event or something like that to add. We gotta form a 6-man and go clear out the tunnel. Anyway, let's hear from the Toth. What do you got? This is of course the Toth Monitor podcast.
The
So
big
Toth,
man.
do you have something?
As far as I will say, I agree with Bombling in regards there needs to be a CM that actually does the job, because it's just, it ain't being done, and I'm flat gonna say it. The current head of the CM team, or what I think is the head of the, I don't know if they aren't, is just not doing it. The CMs need to be communicating with the community, and it's nothing. There's more communication between the streamers and the community than there is the CMs and the community, and that's not a good thing.
True.
I have one thing to add.
My God, we found the vice president of cause now.
I have one thing to
Let's
add,
do it.
please.
Go ahead, Garrison.
Go ahead.
I can confirm, just as far as some things that are going on with the server, I can confirm that a new live event is now being worked on. Because again, just in case there's somebody out there who may not be aware, one of the team members lives down the hall under my roof, and 2 days ago I heard him talking, and I went in just to see what he was doing, and they were working on a new live event. So there is a new live event being worked on.
Slight
what it is, I can't tell you because I don't know.
Slight
he wouldn't even tell me.
interruption to you, Karis. Didn't you not tell me last podcast he wanted to come on and talk about said live event?
He did, but he was. I'm going to try to get him on for, like, if we do one in 2 weeks, I'm going to make him come on, because the simple truth is, and not to give away family secrets or anything, but I talked about the fact earlier that I was up pretty early into the morning, and so was he. He was working on. He was working on live event stuff.
2 weeks from today, let's see if we can make it happen so that we can.
I will.
Have that, providing it, the higher ups say green light it, and I've got to talk to the devs on some stuff, because I've been working on the PvE end of things to help find and make corrections in the game. That's part of why I'm doing so much PvE stuff. Again, guys, I want to thank all of you for being here. Bombling, Gravel, everyone that has chimed in and has said stuff. I know we kind of got to talking over one another. It does happen, unfortunately, sometimes. But again, all of you have made excellent points, and I think we're at a good stopping point. So in closing, I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your Saturday, and I will set something up again in 2 weeks, but I will try to have it in a more precise format, so it's not all over the place.
Well, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.